I have never been so confused when it came to a car that I genuinely like very much. In this case, this Audi SQ8. I've been spending some time with it in the past couple of days, and to say that I'm confused, considering that I'm such a huge Audi SQ8 fan, will be an understatement. Now, I've had a question that has been toying around in my head for the past couple of days, and which is essentially, is it really necessary to get an SQ8? Is it not? How different is it between the SQ8 versus the SQ8? I've been behind the wheel of the SQ8 Black Edition for the past couple of days, and you know what? I'm gonna lay down some things that might pose that question for you if you're in the market considering one of these. All right, so there's a few things that I actually want to note when it comes to the SQ8. For one, let's have a look at the models that are that are comparisons to it. So we've got this trim that is the SQ8 Black Edition, right? And in its same market, you've got the BMW X6, the Mercedes-Benz GLE 63S, Porsche Cayenne. It's for me, it's between the turbo and the GTS, primarily because of power output. And I'm not even going to mention the Urus, because I personally put the Urus in the same playing field as the SQ8, which is the big brother of this one, this SQ8, right? Now, price difference, right? X6M competition, you are looking at 500,000 price difference. The GLE 63S, you're looking at about over 200,000, so about close to 210,000. And then the GLE 63S Formatic Coupe, that is slightly higher, which is about 272,000 Rand in price difference. The Porsche Cayenne, I'm going to say turbo with the e-hybrid system, that is an additional 736,000 Rands in price difference between this SQ8 and that. So when you look at, if you're in the playing field with about 2.7 million, I mean, like, this particular Black Edition is priced around 2.6 million Rands. If you are going to make that comparison, if you've got 2.6 million Rands and you want to get into that other specs or the other models, you're actually going to have to pay a lot more. So I genuinely feel like Audi has a great product on their hands in this car. Let's talk about the drive of the SQ8. I think one of the things that I've actually gotten to enjoy the past couple of days is how... So that's actually one of the things that I need to note. So the seats are ventilated and heated, right? When they're ventilated, you can actually hear the ventilation fans going off in the headrest, and it does annoy one for a bit. I am twofold when it comes to the my gosh. All right, the driving dynamics of the SQ8. Sorry, like I'm actually at a loss for words now. So a couple of months ago, we were in Cape Town for the launch of the Q7 and the Q8, right? Now, in plain old Cape Town fashion, it was a great day out to test out the new products that are coming out, the Q7 and the Q8. Now, in the Q8 range, we had the normal Q8, which is a diesel. We had this, which is the SQ8, which has a 4-liter V8. And this very same engine that's in here is actually in the RSQ8, except that in the SQ8, it's just been detuned. You get 373 kilowatts, if I remember correctly. During that time, I think I spent more time behind the wheel of the diesel and the SQ8. And I normally don't like doing that because the last time when I did, I was left a tad disappointed. Totally unrelated story, but yeah. Actually, it is related considering that it was moving from one Audi product to another Audi product. So, in that being said, I went to that launch with a firm belief that no matter what Audi launches, my mind was still set on the RSQ8 being the ultimate bad boy for me, like in terms of preference. I mean, like when it comes to the RS ranges, it's either the RSQ8 or the RS6 for me personally. Jumping into the SQ8, and as I've spent some time behind the wheel of this car in the past couple of days, I've learned that maybe I may have needed to grow up a tad more. And I'll explain. So, the SQ8 doesn't drive like an SUV.
Watch out. Vehicle on shoulder ahead.
Sorry about that. So, the SQ8 does not drive like an SUV. And what I mean by that is that a lot of the times when you get into performance SUVs, you tend to feel like you're hauling a boat. Not necessarily a boat, but a big body vehicle, right? And in that respect, it tends to take a bit of adjusting when you jump in versus like when you're driving, and it kind of like throws you out, or you need some time to just adjust to it. The X5 and the X6M for me was it was in that respect. More so, when it came to the X5 and the X6M, I felt like the suspension was a tad hard. And this is coming from somebody who spends quite a lot of time in a bicycle, so my lower back actually feels every little bump on the road. Not here. Like, I've been driving in dynamic this morning, dynamic mode. A lot of the times I've been driving on auto, just so that I can feel like the day-to-day basis. Because the other thing that I don't like about driving in dynamic, especially in traffic, is that in the SQ8 you generally feel the gear changes when it gears down, and I mean, like that's like sports dynamic. You are bound to. So I wouldn't really suggest that anyone actually drives in sports dynamic, like in peak bumper to bumper traffic. Auto does beautifully. The gear changes are quite smooth. Here comes another bump. And that goes back to my initial point. Like, you don't feel like this is a performance SUV, so my back needs to be uncomfortable. Like, even with the seats, with a quilted design, it works out. I feel like Audi South Africa has an impeccable product here, and I just feel like more people just need to be exploring them. Now, I think the one thing that has, and this is not an Audi South Africa problem, this is an Audi global problem, but the one thing that has had quite a lot of Audi fanatics up in arms is that the new models actually have adopted the new DNA, the new Audi DNA, which is you don't get the full, I'd say full chrome-plated badge, for example, in the front. It's now a 3D flat logo with the 4 rings. So a lot of people tend to think that they might have strayed away from what an Audi is. I'm of a different opinion. I feel like with some of the products, with some of the cars, it's as much as the brand identity, and mind you, I'm a huge Audi fan. The brand identity strayed away from what it originally was. Will this look take some time to get used to? Possibly. There are rumors that possibly Audi will be reversing them back. But in terms of the actual cars themselves, I don't think there's any issues whatsoever that one can actually consider in that regard. Now, let's talk ownership. One of the things that actually impressed me, especially with the cabin space in this car, right? Actually, my older brother also jumped in on Sunday, and he was actually shook. He is slightly taller than me. I'm 174. He is, I'd say, 178. So he's slightly taller than me. This is my seating position. He could sit in the rear, no issues whatsoever. Also, on Saturday morning, I was rushing to my morning bike session with my friends because and I was just lazy to get out of bed. Instead of mounting the bike rack on the retractable tow bar at the back, I decided to throw it in the boot. Now, you can basically fold the rear seats flat down to give you more space to actually throw things in. In that respect, I could throw my bike in the back without actually needing to even take off a wheel or one of the wheels. I had to do it because instead of the admin of rolling down or flattening the seats, I decided to just flatten the middle console, which is another convenient thing that you don't need to actually, if you have like something that's pretty long, you can actually run it through the boot straight through to the front without actually needing to actually put the seats fully flat out or flushed out. Actually, I'm gonna switch this to auto. So what auto does is that it actually raises the suspension because now you are tackling Joburg traffic. You don't really need to fight any taxi drivers. All right, so what is my verdict on the SQ8? I've been asked quite a number of times if I had 2.7 million rands, would I spend it on the SQ8? And the answer is yes. Would I daily an SQ8? That is another conversation on its own. I think in terms of fuel economy, I averaged roughly around, the best that I did was 14.7. And that is on auto. That's me driving decent, no spirited driving as we call it, and that in itself will be a deciding factor. But also I feel like any single person or any person who's actually going to consider buying an SQ8 or actually a twin turbo V8 4-liter V8 with a quattro system, I don't believe that fuel is the last thing that you're worried about. I do think that there are other factors, like for example, how much it will cost to service you if it goes out of service, out of motor plan. How much if, let's say for example, one of the rims get cracked. Also, I do believe that these are not really carbon rims, but they are really strong rims straight out of the factory. I will actually check exactly in terms of the spec. But also we know that how South African roads are. Pothole can just literally be hiding just around the corner and you wouldn't even see it. But in all fairness, I do feel like the car is set up in such a way that you can actually take it off road or even go tackling some potholes if you wish to as well. Outside of that, I would strongly consider it. I do feel like I needed to grow up from my strong consideration of the RSQ8. Maybe I still need the RSQ8, but then again, who needs all that 400 plus kilowatts, especially if you're going to be doing stuff like this. I'm driving in a normal city condition. There are cars in front of me, there's a car behind me. and most of the time that's where you're going to be driving the car, unless you're on the highway, on the freeway quite often, or if you're traveling quite a lot. I also want to actually take this car on the road. Yeah, I do feel like I would actually enjoy it on the open road quite a lot. When I had the Porsche Cayenne, the Platinum Edition, took it to Clarence, I genuinely enjoyed that car a lot more when it was out in the open road versus when it was in the city. I feel like the car actually grew out of its shell and I was able to actually experience it for what it was actually worth. And yeah, this is essentially in the same breath over here. So hopefully I get an opportunity to actually take this car out on the road, as everyone has dubbed me the guy who likes taking the cars. And I honestly enjoy driving them long ranges, because a lot of the times I go visit family, and a lot of the times even in my car, that's where I get to spend a lot of time actually behind the seat, traveling quite a lot. So why not in that respect? Speaking of the Porsche Cayenne, off that list that I mentioned of the competitors, I do feel like the Cayenne is actually the worthy competitor, although you are going to be parting ways with a pretty penny. 700,000 Rand price difference. That's a nice deposit on an A3. By the way, the new A3 is actually out as well, and I'm actually going to be posting that in the next couple of weeks, because I have that one on test in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, that is my verdict. Would I consider it? Strongly, I would strongly consider it. Would I consider it over an RSQ8? Yeah. Is it still a fun drive? It definitely is still a fun drive. And I will not take that over anything. It sounds great as well, outside of the fact that my neighbors actually complained about the fact that I woke them up on Saturday morning because I had to leave the house at like 5 in the morning to go meet my friends. I'm sore, yeah, police. But yeah, and it's still enough. I mean, like 2.7 million Rand for a red seat belt to give your crashes crash chest pains. Definitely worth it, I think, supposedly. But yeah, I wonder if I had to buy this between myself and my future wife, who would drive it more? I definitely believe my future wife would actually drive it more, considering that this 4-liter V8 is actually quite a beauty to drive. But that's just me. That's just like my concern. You see, like, you need to consider such things. Can't just But yeah, in all respect, guys, thank you very much for tuning in, and please like and subscribe. I am actually going to try and make these things a lot more common. Yeah, so until the next video, cheers.